It's 10 p.m. and almost Halloween. And Max Wasa. Hello, everybody! Welcome to another action jam-packed edition of David Lee Madison's The End of the Night. This right here is Mr. Joe Ridgely, my co-host, my producer, my dear friend, my pal, my compadre, my buddy. How are you, Mr. Ridgely?
I am excellent. How are you?
I couldn't be better, Joe. I just sent out all the information, including exclusive pictures, the press release, the theatrical trailer, and the theatrical poster, which will all be sent out via some horror outlets tomorrow. And I'm super excited that Full Moon Fever is starting to get into the full swing. October 26th is our world premiere at the Pocono Cinema, which is a really, really beautiful, antique kind of old theater in lovely Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. The reason I'm having it there is because the movie was shot here in Northeast Pennsylvania, so I like having my premieres where a lot of the cast and the crew could come out and enjoy it. And I'm super excited. Mary Ann Hagen from Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers will be there. Scott Schiaffo, our Grunkle Scott, our lovely co-host and dear friend, will be there. From what I understand, Jim Crut's going to pop up. There's going to be a whole bunch of cool celebrities and such. So if you want to come out and see the world premiere of Full Moon Fever, it's October 26th at the Pocono Cinema. You can go on our Full Moon Fever Facebook page. There's an advance ticket link there. And I suggest, because from what I understand, since we posted it on Friday, tickets are going very, very fast. So hopefully...
Wait a minute, you got a new movie poster?
Yes. It hasn't. It's going to be premiered tomorrow on a major horror outlet.
So I have this one.
Yes, that was one of the ones that we were working with probably last year. That's not what the final theatrical poster looks like.
So wait a minute. I've been working with you for how many years now?
327 years, oddly enough.
They get the poster first.
No, I don't. You see, this show is my show, and seeing I don't really like me, I thought I'd give it to somebody who I liked better.
All right, fair enough.
To be honest with you, Joe, this show has, throughout the filming of Full Moon Fever, has had everything from talking about specific setups to photos that no one else has seen. This has really been, if you were following the making of Full Moon Fever, almost all the information has been given out here. So, in retrospect,
yes, I'm actually busting his chops. I was in Orlando at what was it? Phantasm Orlando recently, and yeah, we showed the Full Moon Fever trailer there, which was friggin' awesome.
Actually, the one that's coming out tomorrow is not that one. That was one specifically for the convention. The new one has all new, a lot of some of the same footage and a lot of new footage, so you can check that out. So I'm super excited. 2 nights ago, I went out to a beautiful home in New Jersey that Mr. Scott Schiaffo resides at, and we were working on Full Moon Fever's last bit of score, and we went out and had dinner, and we just had a great time. And there's like a really wonderful vibe around this movie. I got to work with some of my dearest friends like Libby McDermott, Matt Staley, and Jim Crott, and Marianne Hagen, and it was just my beautiful daughter's in the movie. There's a bunch of surprises, so it's just a really fun. It was just a fun werewolf picture, and I'm really excited that it's finally going to be seen by people, which I think is kind of cool.
Sweet. Let's hit some of these comments real fast, if we may.
Good evening, Ken. I hope you're well.
Apparently, it's Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Save me a drumstick. You know,
November 1st.
I didn't think Terrifier 3 was that far along in filming, from what I understand. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of self-loathing in PA. This coming from the guy who puts out an It's a Wonderful Knife poster.
No, wait a minute. That wasn't his doing. That's something he was going to watch.
Oh.
JW has been doing awesome. He's been doing like these pop-up reviews, like the night of or the day after these movies that are coming out. And he just did one on The Exorcist. And it was really cool. They're like short, spoiler-free reviews, and they're just absolutely amazing. So check those out on our YouTube channel.
That's awesome. Anything else going on the networks, Joe? I'm sorry I was chewing everybody's ear off about Full Moon Fever. I'm just super excited because, when you make a movie, Joe, it takes like enormous amount of work and hours and time, and then it becomes kind of like your child. And you're always afraid to put your child out into the world for the first time because there are people who always really who like your work, and then there are people who just seem to say mean things just for the purpose of saying mean things. So it's just something that you have to premiere. I wish you would make the premiere too, JW. It would be awesome. There's going to be a screening in Tampa. I don't know how close you are to Tampa.
That's a 7-hour round trip.
For JW?
For me.
Oh, okay. So I will keep you guys in the know for all the Florida showings.
Sweet.
With that being said, I got to meet the lovely Max Wasa, our guest tonight, in our green room a little bit ago. She's extraordinarily talented. She'll be on in just a few moments. But before we bring on the lovely and talented Miss Wasa, let's bring our cohort in crime, our Grunkle Scott. We just love this guy. Mr. Schiaffo, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Much better now that you are here.
How nice. Hey,
poor Libby has her temperature rising. She's getting the fever.
nicely done.
I like it. So what's cooking with you, Mr. Schiaffo? I know you had a big con over in Maryland since we last convened, I think. How'd that go?
Yeah, well, that went really well. It was lots of fun. It was a horror convention, so I got to chat up this movie, Full Moon Fever, and actually the Clerks folks were the only. Scott is the best Cheers Norm boys. In best Cheers Norm boys, Scott. Yeah, we were the non-horror guests at. I'm forgetting the name. Oh, Fright Reads. Fright Reads. Yes, mostly horror authors, but it was fun, and cons are just always, whether I'm a particular fan of whatever genre may be the dominant genre or not, it's film fans and music fans, and it's all good. I get to see my peers from Clerks, which is always a lot of fun, and so never any complaints from this guy at a con. They would have to go really sideways for it to not be a good time for me.
Sweet. So how do you feel about the big Full Moon Fever premiere coming up in 2 weeks?
I'm super psyched, man. I mean, what's more exciting than getting to see a film you worked on that you also are personal friends with the filmmaker, and going to see a bunch of other people who we know personally as well. It's going to be great.
No, I'm super excited. I think it's going to be the theater's actually making a big to-do about this. I think we're going to be on multiple screens that night because I don't think one theater is going to hold everybody who's coming out. So I'm super
Wow.
excited about Full Moon Fever, and that's. Are we gonna do a Halloween show on the 29th?
Sure.
Are we asking me or Joe?
I'm asking Joe.
Yeah, I don't
You
see
know
why
what?
not.
I'm going to, everybody watching tonight, I'm going to combine the world premiere of Full Moon Fever with our Halloween blast and have one of the biggest star-studded uh, end of the night. And when I say that, that actually means something because this show has had some of the most extraordinary guest lists on one show in the history of podcasting, and that's really the truth. We're going to have a blowout Halloween Full Moon Fever party on our next show. Well, I guess we'll have a show between then, but on our Halloween show, which is October 29th. So we could all look forward to that. That's pretty awesome.
Great.
Now, October 28th is my big Halloween party at my house, which I'm super excited. Yeah, see, I'm really happy at Halloween. Then November 1st will come around and I'll be the mean, miserable, nasty prick that I usually am. But
See, I can't wait until like December 27th so I can take all this off.
why do you have
There-
to?
there's
We
a
doing
method
it
to
for-
the madness. The grandkids.
Oh, okay.
Christmas.
Oh, are
You
you
know what?
doing?
I want to send some love. Doesn't Terry's film come out in like 2 days?
Terry's film, yeah, well, yeah. Think I would have a picture of that. Harlow's Haunt is debuting on Vudu October 10th, I believe.
Sweet.
So yes, that's great. The Blu-ray just came out from Bayview Entertainment. They're still working on that, but Vudu is next, and then the rest of the release.
Sweet. Congratulations, sir.
Are you guys following? I think Joe, you know Jason Buterin.
Yes, very well.
Are they still holding up his movie?
They are, and that's like a whole. Yeah, I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, but yes, they are holding it up, and it's an individual group that's doing it, and it's hurts my heart. It's been years that he's been trying to get Kill Giggles out. I will say the name of it, Kill Giggles out.
Do we know
Right.
the name? Do you know the name of the company that's holding him up? Because we could just roast them on the show like every week until they
I
do something
do,
right.
but I can't because we have guests that are affiliated with the company,
Oh, okay.
and I'm
Oh,
not
boy.
going to do that. Guests in the past.
They're holding up a theatrical release, or they're going to release it streaming, or you don't know.
It's just in limbo right now, from what I understand. Distribution.
He's like the coolest, sweetest dude.
Oh,
I
he
can't.
is.
I feel terrible for him.
Yeah,
Yes, we
Jason
should rally
Buterin.
the entire independent film
excitement.
community behind him to tell him to cut that shit out and get his movie out because that's not fair. It's not cool to play that way, and it must really suck to put all your hard work into something to have somebody screw around
I
with it like
agree.
that. All right, let's stop with our stupidity because we have an enormous guest waiting in our room. Without further ado, a star of many films, star of many magazines and magazine covers. She's a wonderful and talented musician. She's extraordinarily funny, and it's an honor and privilege to have her on our show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Max Wasa.
Hi.
Yes.
That's such a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely, our pleasure. Thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
So, Max, tell us a little bit about what gave you the impetus to start working in show business. Like, what inspired you to do this when you were just a little girl running around?
I had no choice. I grew up in a family full of musicians and artists, and that was, you either performed or you got out. So that was it, So I studied classical music growing up and dance and theater. And here I am all these years later, still doing it.
Now, who were some of the musicians? I'll go with musicians first. Who inspired you as far as your musical ambitions?
Oh gosh, I have a lot because growing up in a household full of musicians, classically trained, jazz, the whole deal, many Grammy winners in my family.
Wow.
Um, I, you know, I looked up to all of them. And, as far as popular music, I was very influenced by Hart and Steely Dan and Miles Davis and, some of the old blues, guys, Sarah Vaughan, those kind of performers. I play French horn and flute and piano and guitar and some stuff. And you can't see right now, but I'm actually in my studio.
Yeah, are those records next to you?
They are books.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't tell if they were records. My apologies.
I know people don't know what those are anymore because but those are actual, paper books.
Yes, it's that whole
It's a
reading thing
rarity.
is that whole reading thing is difficult.
Reading, oh no.
It used to be fundamental, now it's just mental.
Right?
Uh, so you also act.
I do.
Tell me your favorite movie from the 1980s.
That I've been in or that I watched?
No, that you watched, and then it'll be a two-part question. Why don't you tell us your favorite 80s movies that you were not in, that you were not involved in, and then tell us your favorite 80s movie that you watched, that you were in.
Okay. Favorite movie that I watched was Blade Runner.
Ooh, Blade Runner.
Yeah, I'm a huge Blade Runner fan. And yeah, I did a layout actually for Nerdy Girl as Pris. So if you go to my website, you can see pictures of that on there. It was very difficult to get into that suit.
I could imagine.
Do some backflips. That was very difficult. But I donned the wig, the whole deal.
Now, what would be your favorite 80s movie that you were in?
I can't say that I liked any of the movies I was in the 80s, but maybe Revenge of the Nerds or The Unholy. That was a good one.
Oh, sweet.
That was a very good one.
Were you actually in Scarface, or is that just something that's on IMDb?
Yeah, I was actually in that.
How did you get to work with Pacino at all, or were you in a different scene?
I did. I had well, it was all of them. It was like the nightclub scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in there for pretty much all of the interaction with Michelle, and dancing and eating and the whole deal. So it was quite fun. That was very early on in my career. So
Yeah, what were you, like 10?
you're sweet. I'll pay you later.
No, but really, I mean, my gosh. Were you old enough to be in the club?
I was in high school. Those good times.
So
Good
that
times.
answers your
Revenge
question.
of the Nerds is a killer classic, though.
Yeah, those were fun times.
Was our friend Tim Busfield in that movie, or am I got the
Yeah.
wrong movie?
Yes,
Yes,
he was
Tim
Poindexter.
Busfield. Yeah,
He's been on the show before.
he's wonderful. I love him.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. So tell us a little bit about the Unholy. I mean, that was cool. It had Hal Holbrook and Ben Cross, if I remember. What was it like shooting
Yeah.
that picture?
It was actually very creepy. I was like a church practitioner, not practitioner. What is the word for that?
Parishioner?
Parishioner. Thank you very much. Word out of the sky. And so it was very creepy. And after we finished filming, I felt like some sort of demonic kind of, trail that followed after the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to do like a full cleanse and everything to get away from that.
Really? Like, was anything in your house, or it was
No,
just
it was
you?
just, it was just on set. It was just very heavy, and, the material was very heavy. So it was, sometimes when you're working with horror, as you all know, we have to close ourselves off from that, energy kind of entering us. So,
Max, I gotta tell you, I must be the biggest schmuck on the face of the earth because I literally look for trouble. I just shot Full Moon Fever, and no exaggeration, I would say 40% of that movie was shot on Clinton Road in New Jersey, which is supposed to be the most haunted one of the most haunted places in the entire world, and on properties that are banned from people that you're not supposed to be on them, and in places that nobody in their right mind would go. And of course, the schmuck I am, I go in there with a few people and shoot horror films, and I'm looking for trouble. So I don't see. I
No,
don't know.
but we all are when we're doing those films. That's what we do. So, we take our chances, but you just zip yourself off and cleanse, a couple of crystals, a little salt,
I turn into a martini.
a couple of Hail Marys. That's right, delicious.
So I know that you also produce albums, and you had one that was the Dan Reed CD relatively recently.
Yeah, I mean that was a little bit back, but yeah, that was really well received by the industry. A lot of accolades for that. Super proud of what we did because it was a album of peace. Dan is a very prolific writer and artist, and he was in Israel. And when he decided that he wanted to do this record about, the Palestinians and the Israelis, and so I sent him equipment over there, and then we started writing back and forth when I was in Miami, and it actually was over 3 countries that we wrote it in, took 3 years. And President Obama had Dan perform at the inauguration because it was that much of a well-received album. So
Wow.
I was very proud of that.
That's
It's an amazingly timely thing to talk about with what's going on right now. I mean, this whole
Absolutely.
conflict that just started in the last 48 hours is literally just came out of nowhere. It's kind of mind-boggling.
It's horrific. It's horrific. And, these are very peaceful people, and all they want is, to have peace in their land, and it's a daily struggle for them. So if by being musicians, artists, we can lend hand, spread the word, that we're supporting Israel and, just praying for them. It's horrible.
It seems like
So listen to the record. It's called Coming Up for Air.
and it's you could just find it on all major streaming outlets.
Everywhere.
Yeah. You produced with the somebody from the Miami Sound Machine, if I'm correct, right?
Yes. Clay Oswald from Miami Sound Machine and Tommy Anthony from Santana.
Sweet.
wow. Woo.
I'm moving
Scott?
goals.
She's got the musical cred there.
Yes.
I
Serious.
got some musical nonsense behind me. I won, which totally surprised me, a Lifetime Achievement Award for producing for the LA Music Awards. I was the first woman to ever win it. So that was like a great big deal.
That is a big deal. Wow.
It's a huge
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
kind of cool. Yeah, thank you.
Now, if I know you've done a bunch of wonderful indie horror movies. If you were going to tell somebody who was up and coming in and making their first indie horror picture, what piece of advice would you give them?
Learn from the masters. That's, always my one piece of advice that is the most important. A lot of people get into this industry and they think that they can set up a camera and some lights and throw their friends in and some, blood and they got a film. That's not necessarily the way it goes. So think about all of the things that you need and study your art. Really, it's an art more than a craft. So, look at the masters from before. Check out what they're doing, how they're doing things, how 'cause there's so much involved. It's not just what you're doing on film, but all the things that you have to do after it's over. You know, as you well know, having a movie coming out in just days, it's like, it's a tremendous amount of work.
No, it actually is an enormous undertaking. And it's something that, as artists, you take extraordinarily seriously. And when you put yourself out there, everybody on this screen does, it is extraordinarily satisfying sometimes, but it's also extraordinarily painful because people, for some reason, think that when you do something artistic, it gives them a license to say like really horrible and mean spirited things towards you. And it's and I will never understand that hater mentality that is prevalent. Some people literally tell me that they go online to see if they can outclass each other in saying mean and hateful things. And when they do, what? Yeah.
Okay.
And when they do that, like, I understand if you have a problem with a big $250 million blockbuster that has unlimited resources, if they make a steaming piece of shit, they deserve to get all the hell that they get, because pretty much everything Hollywood makes these days are steaming pieces of shit. And so if you give them hell, I totally get it. But when you are ranking on an artist who literally has their hands tied at every way in making and competing, like my film Full Moon Fever, when it comes out, it's not competing against just independent films when it goes out in the world. It's competing against these giant Hollywood blockbusters. And sadly, people only look at them all as in kind of in the same place when they really shouldn't be viewed that way. And it's something that, as a culture, we have to understand that not everything is created equal, and you have to look at things with different eyes. Do you think that's a fair way to put it?
Oh, absolutely. There's so much money that goes into the Hollywood production of everything, even music and all of that. Independent artists have a much tougher road to walk down, So as independent filmmakers, it's even more difficult because, there's so many pieces to it. And for, if you want to judge somebody, then send them money. Then you can have the right to judge them. Otherwise,
No, absolutely.
Back the heck up.
I mean, there's always constructive criticism, which I never, ever had a problem with. If somebody says, hey, your movie, you did a great job on it, but this could have been better, or you could have looked at it this way, that's awesome, because that's the way you learn. But I remember when Mr. Hush came out, it came out the same day as Cabin in the Woods, and Ain't It Cool News' headlines was, Mr. Hush was fine, but not as good as Cabin in the Woods. Mr. Hush had a $200,000 budget. Cabin in the Woods, which had Chris Hemsworth, had a $45 million budget. And it's just like, really? Yeah. It's that kind of stuff I just don't understand. But I'm a bitter old man, so don't listen to me.
Well,
I try not to. But no, I agree. And even the indie aspect is becoming more cutthroat now, and it hurts my heart to see these people getting at each other's throats and trying to sabotage. No, there's plenty to go around for everybody. Make your film. Encourage people. That's what it's all about.
You know what's funny, Joe? I literally, and you know this, on my personal pages, on my professional pages, I promote everybody who I know stuff like to the umpteenth degree. And I look at it as we're all trying to get up the ladder together. And if I could possibly help you get up one rung and you get one rung past me, maybe you help me up to that one. And we all get up to the top together. But it doesn't seem to be the way of, God forbid you have anything that has even a relative monicum of success, because everybody wants to tear you down. And it's just strange. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Scott? You look like you're deep in thought or falling asleep.
No, I'm falling asleep.
Okay.
Thanks.
This show has that effect on people.
No, I think, this is like, there's so many levels to what we're talking about here. I think, for from the experience I've had, for everyone who digs something, there's probably 2 or 3 detractors. And we are, whether I think like it or not, we are in a place where we're not that we're public figures per se, but you do put yourself out there, and with that comes a lot of judgment, and that's just how people are. I mean, people who have given me very positive feedback, I appreciate, but I take that with a grain of salt too, because sometimes that's peppered with an agenda. uh, you might not see at the time. I think ultimately, as artists, if we're not happy with what we're doing, with what we're creating, whether it's music or film, then you got to look at that. I've never enjoyed a movie because all the critics loved it, and I never disliked a movie because the critics didn't like it. The same thing with music. I don't care what critics really have to say about music that I love. So I mean, I don't know. I think that there's a way to take all of that with a grain of salt, but it's also the internet age. There's certainly no lack of division and hatred out there for anything.
Keyboard commandos.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Max, tell us a little bit about what you're currently working on.
Currently, well, I have a film coming up called Dead Slate. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's a horror film, and really great cast in that. It's coming up. Obviously, we are in a strike right now, so everything is on hold. Other than that, I've been writing a lot. I've written 6 reality television shows and 2 films. And we're on my 3rd film right now.
Wow.
So pretty excited about that.
I see that Tom Holland, the great director of Fright Night and Child's Play, is involved in Dead Slate. Did you get to shoot a scene with him, or is he in something else?
We haven't shot yet.
Oh.
Yeah. I think they did like a pre kind of little thing, a teaser, and then we're going to do the full film as soon as we're released.
We've got a question from J.W. Colwell, who has a show on Monday nights, which is Generation Movies on the Indie Escape Network. He's asking, what kind of reality shows? Is there anything you can share about the reality shows that you've written?
Sure. I've got one called Stunt Doubles, and for a lot of you don't know that I grew up doing stunts as well. So I can't give you the entire premise of it because then they'll steal it right from under me. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a big, huge, big budget reality show.
All of a sudden, the Unknown Stuntman song is going through my head right now.
Yes. So I've got that one. I've got one called Miraculous Encounters After the Vision. And that's about, when a miraculous encounter happens, how people go to, the church goes and all of these things happen that to make sure that it's real or not real, my team goes in afterwards to figure out what has happened to the soil, so the scientific part of that. So the soil, the energy around there, what's happened to the community, were there more pregnancies, were there less pregnancies, that kind of stuff. And I got Vincent Ward and Jan Birch on that, and Carrie Migalski.
Did you say Jan Birch? I love Jan.
Yes.
Jan is my buddy.
Yes, the great Jan Birch. I adore him and his wife Victoria so much. They're my heart. Yeah.
Now, has your flick Vampires been completely filmed yet?
No. Again, strike. Killing us.
Damn you, strike.
Yes, damn you. But it is so worth it because, we're in a very difficult time with AI and, the studios just not caring about us. I have a bunch of checks for 89 cents, that I can't even deposit, and it just makes no sense.
All those SAG checks that go out for under $1, I don't know how actors are going to make it through.
I don't know either. So we have to do something. We have to,
Jim
God
Crut
bless
is
and just
replying. Jim Crut is saying solidarity forever.
Hello, Mr. Crut. You're a
Yes.
legend of horror cinema and in Full Moon Fever. Just a great guy. Hi, Jim. I hope you're well.
I thought that were the writers closer to being settled, or no?
I thought the writers were already done.
Yeah.
no, not necessarily. We have a tentative agreement, and so the writers are also staying in solidarity with Screen Actors Guild. So
Oh,
just like we did for WGA, which I'm both. So it's difficult for me because I'm in 4 unions.
yeah. Wow. I mean, you juggle it all. That's amazing. But like you say, in for a penny, in for a pound. Wow.
Somebody has to do the hard stuff.
Oh well, that brought the still have to vote. What do you have to vote for, dude?
Yeah, what are you voting for?
Here, what are you voting for?
Ravens for Heroes.
Yeah, that's the
Still
lovely
have
and
to vote.
talented Emmett Garnham, who's also in Full Moon Fever. I can't wait to see Emmett at the premiere in 2 weeks. Hi, Emmett. I hope you're well. What are you voting for, by the way?
Yeah. What was that?
Oh, the
about?
contract.
Oh, the contract.
Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Well, there's a gaming contract that we just voted on.
Oh,
Stuff for the voice actors of the gaming world.
Yes, which I also voice act as well.
oh, sweet. Tell us a little bit about your voice acting career.
I actually, that was the very first thing I did in my career. I think I was 5 or 6. I did Bon Bon's ice cream. Tell your mommy to buy bonbons today. Yeah, sitting on a stool in a booth, scared to death of the, cans like falling down over my face. Like, but that started it, and then I did a show called The Heffenauts that was on Adult Swim, and where I voiced 6 characters on that. So all sorts of fun. And then my screams are like everywhere.
Oh, sweet. If you could put yourself in any historic role that's ever been filmed, if you could just magically have played that part, what part would it have been?
Great question. Probably Cleopatra.
Cleopatra, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, being
Was
an
that a
Egyptian
big-
girl.
Was that a big Cecil B. DeMille movie? I don't remember the film.
I don't think that it was Cecil B.
Oh, no? Okay.
But Joe can check that out, right?
Scott, if I was to ask you that question, what would you answer? If you could magically, just like the magic of time and space and dimension, have played any part in the history of cinema, who and what part would it have been?
Wow. That's really, really like it's so. Because there's so many films I grew up so inspired by, and so.
Emmett's saying it was Elizabeth Taylor who played her.
Yes,
Right.
Elizabeth Taylor, absolutely. I knew exactly what she was referring to. Cecil.
You don't have one in particular?
Well,
Scott?
that's my God. It's like so hard to even begin to. I've got a list of films that. Wow, it's hard to say. I mean,
I would have killed to have played George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. Would have been like the best thing ever. Or Bing Crosby in The Bells of St. Mary, because he's like my all-time favorite entertainer. I think he's the most talented human being who ever walked the planet. So I think that would probably be one of those two guys.
All right, well,
Elizabeth-
I'm going to go now.
Okay.
And I'm going to say...
I was going to ask you if you just relaxed for a second and get your panties in a bunch. Go ahead.
I knew who Cleopatra was.
Oh, awesome.
No, David, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I thought you were going to say who you wanted to play.
I Belushi in Animal House.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
John Landis movie.
JW wants to play Del Griffin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Is that the Candy or is that the Steve Martin? I think that's the Candy part, right?
That's the Candy.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
I would have been Al Pacino in the film Cruising. That's a weird film to pick, brother, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jabba the Hutt. I would have liked to play that. Goals, man, goals.
Goal, absolutely. You got to have goals. So, Max, what are you doing with music nowadays?
I have a whole bunch of bands that I manage. I'm sure you're familiar with some of them.
Spacing Effect with Scotty
Woohoo! And
who was it?
Aaron.
And yeah, Spacing Effect. Scotty sent me this a couple of years ago.
That's
Love it.
awesome. Yeah, I love those guys. Yeah, I manage them. And Freedom Heart Song and RJ Kineo from Hawaii, Grammy winner. Um, uh, you know, really amazing, talented artists that I have. Check out Liquid Music Group LLC on Instagram, and I'll show you all my bands on there, all what they're up to. Um, got some cool stuff coming up. Orchestra Surreal is a new undertaking for me. Ross Wright, who is the leader of that, it's a incredible orchestra that kind of dresses in superhero kind of stuff, and they play crazy arrangements, and he's a mastermind. So
Wow.
yeah, that's really fun. Yeah. What else do I have coming up?
Well, so what do you prefer, though? Do you prefer being in front of the mic or, behind the scenes?
Ugh. You know, um, I love a good script. You know, I love the fact that I can no longer be me and be somebody else for a little bit and check out of myself. I love that. I also love being, head deep in the studio and, not eat or drink for weeks on end. I love that. I love, performing on stage. I just crazy experience. Just the other day, 2 days ago, I was on stage with Lady Gaga in Vegas.
Oh,
Wow.
Adam was just bringing that up. Adam said, please tell us about the Lady Gaga thing in Vegas.
Yeah, it was crazy. My friend Samantha Stringhold, she is Lady Gaga's assistant. And I thought I was just going to the show, maybe some VIP passes, whatever. And then I get this email that we need you in wardrobe at this time. And I'm like, excuse me, what? But they had us like 6 of us on stage. They set up these tables like the speakeasy, and we're all dressed in like 60s speakeasy outfits. And, it's just incredible, like 5,000 people in the audience. And, just loved every minute of it. What a
That is
talent.
so
What
cool.
a supreme talent she is.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big surprise. So it was like, wow. I mean, I've performed quite a bit on stage with other musicians, obviously, but
Yeah, well, I was totally into the hair bands in my younger days, and you were in a few hair band videos, if I recall correctly.
yes, I was.
Well, come on.
I did. I was like the video vixen of the '80s, so I did so many.
Hmm.
It's like back-to-back videos all the time. From
Awesome.
and then I toured as a background singer with some bands like Alice Cooper. And
Just Alice Cooper. Yeah. Yeah, the guy out touring with Rob Zombie right now. But,
yeah.
whatever. Just
You
Alice,
know,
who's been around since the 70s.
the way she said that, it's very funny because the night before I hung out with Scott, I went out to dinner at a Chinese restaurant with Roger McGuinn, who was the lead singer of the Byrds, and he was playing in New Jersey. And he was just telling me these great stories. And he was like, and then Tom came over, Tom Petty, and Bob came over, Bob Dylan, and we were playing basketball. And I can't think of the name of the...
What?
What?
They were playing basketball?
They were playing basketball at Roger McGuinn's house in L.A. And then the cat who made the Fonda, right? Peter Fonda, or the biker movie?
Yeah.
Easy Rider.
Yeah. The cat who made Easy Rider went out to after Dylan left L.A. and went to New York. Peter Fonda went out to New York. This is directly from Roger McGuinn himself. Peter Fonda went out to New York to ask Dylan to write the songs for the soundtrack of the film Easy Rider. And apparently they sat and they met, and Dylan wrote words on a napkin. And he said to Peter Fonda at the time, take these words to McGuinn in Los Angeles. He'll know what to do with them. So Peter Fonda takes the napkin like it's the Holy Grail, flies it out to Los Angeles. Roger McGuinn looks at these words, and voila, from what I really don't know anything about that movie or about that soundtrack, but apparently like the combination of Dylan writing the words in New York on a napkin and McGuinn getting those words back in Los Angeles, a bunch of the soundtrack was all stemming from that. And just listening to, I'm sitting there like eating brown rice with this guy who's dropping these names like they're his plumber and his electrician. It's just it really boggles the mind, because it's what's so cool about this business is that you know someday I could tell stories. Hey, I was out with dinner with Scott and Brian and Huey, and we were just hanging, eating ribs, and because we were together. It's kind of the way it is, but it's something that you never get used to, because when you're young and you're a kid and you idolize people who are celebrity, you never ever really dream that you're ever going to get to speak with those types of people or to work with those types of people. And it's one of the most beautiful things about being creative and being artistic, because you get to, and that's pretty awesome.
Let me tell you one of my biggest regrets, David. It
During
was
the show?
During one of our shows, yes.
Oh, no. I thought doing the show was your biggest.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not yet. It's getting there.
Yeah.
It was actually doing one of the shows. And it was George and I were on, and David keeps messaging me. You got to pop me on.
David Howard Thornton or David Me?
No, David Lee Madison.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
IMing me. And we were just about to freaking end. We're like,
I
ending.
remember this like yesterday.
And I was like, we're ending the show. As soon as I hit the end stream, David messages me, hey, dumbass, I've got David Lee Roth here who wants to pop on with me.
Those things
Tell you
happen.
how pissed off I was. That, I just didn't hang on for another minute or two. And it was just like,
There's
son
always
of a...
those crazy missed opportunities in life,
There is.
I was doing this gig in Hollywood at this club, and it was like Wednesday night. I'm doing jazz, regular night, and the owner comes over and he's like, "Hey Max, when you take a break, I need you to come into the green room. There's some people that want to talk to you, and they would love to take the stage with you." And I'm like, okay, cool. And it's Hollywood, so I'm figuring it's some local musicians, whatever, cool. And I walk in there, and it's Elton John, John Entwistle,
Wow.
and Michael Bolton.
Holy crap.
And they said, "Oh, we love what you're doing up there. You sound so good. You got pipes." I'm like, "Thanks, thank you." And they're like, "Can we join you?" And I was like, "Of course, the stage is yours." And they're like, "No, we want you to sit in with us." And I said, "No." And I refused to get back on stage. How stupid was I? That was like the biggest moment, and I just let it I just stood by the stage, like, jaw dropped. Yeah.
So if you could go back and do that over again, would you have gone on stage?
Heck yes. Oh my God.
Oh,
So
man.
stupid. I'm an idiot.
But to have that moment at least that you were still there with them, that's freaking amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. And in the same place is where I got the guys from Alice Cooper came in, and this is a strange story about how I got that gig. Are you ready for this?
I think so. I hope so.
So I'm playing at this club again, doing jazz, you know, and blues. And these guys come in. My roommate Tammy Welty was sitting next to the stage, and they sent a drink to the stage, and I don't drink. So I turned to Tammy, and I'm like, "What do I do with this?" And she goes, "Well, go and say thank you." So I walk over to this table, and there's all these guys, like, two guys in suits, and everybody else like in black, rocker looking. And I don't recognize them. I'm just like, talking, thanks so much for the drink, blah, blah, blah. And they said, no, we love what you're doing. You really can sing. And I'm like, thanks. And they said, we'd love for you to come down and audition for Alice Cooper tomorrow. And I went, I was doing blues. I don't know nothing about Alice Cooper. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, we would love for you to. And I said, well, I was with Playboy at the time, and I had to shoot this poster with penguins in the morning. And yes, with like 6 penguins and no clothes. So I said, well, I'll think about it. And I get up in the morning and I go off to shoot with the penguins and the dry ice and the smells of fish. And I called Tammy and I said, Tammy, I'm not going to this thing. And she goes, no, you have to go. And I go, I smell like fish. And she said, no, just do it anyway. So I go down there. I'm expecting it's going to be like, nothing, like a stupid thing. They're going to hear me sing and they'll dismiss me immediately. But I walked in and there's 1,500 of LA's best singers all sitting there. And I'm like, oh, no. This is way above my pay grade. I'm
not intimidated at all.
I'm like, not getting this gig. And so Tammy again, who's always like my little supporter, who's like, no, you got to stay. You got to do this audition. So I waited and I waited and waited. And there's like all these girls like riffing like crazy in my ear. And I'm just like in tears. And I walk in and there's the band and there's a long table and it's got like Desmond Child, who wrote all of Alice's songs, and Jonathan Mover, who's like this very famous drummer, and Al Petrelli from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and like, I'm losing my mind. And I get on stage and they said, okay, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know any Alice Cooper songs. I'm really sorry. And I said, but if you give me the charts, I'll sight read it. And they went, you can't sight read. And I said, well, give me the charts. And so they ran out and they printed the charts and they came back with the charts and I sight read it and did my deal. And then they said, you want to do anything else? And I did God Bless the Child, just a cappella. And then they said, we'd like to bring the band in and play with you. So the band all like played with me. And then, well, that sounded weird. But that's a whole nother story. And then I went back out and sat and cried in the lobby with the other 1,500 people. And, about an hour later, they walked out and they said, we'd like to invite Max and Devin to join the Trash Tour. And I looked around the room like there was another Max. I'm like, this impossible that you just chose me. And they went, no, you. I went, fuck off.
That was a huge deal. Dude, that tour. That was like that was a big comeback tour for him, kind of.
When was
Yeah,
that
no,
tour?
that
Was
was
it
the
an
last
80s tour or
big
90s tour?
tour.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Yeah, it
It's
was
so
massive.
funny because there's a great Alice Cooper story with my brothers Bill and Bob. My brother Bill worked with Alice Cooper on the road, and when he was putting together a record, I'm not tremendously familiar with this because it was back when I was, I think it was like 1976 or 77. My brother Bob put my brother Bill asked my brother Bob to put Alice Cooper in touch with Vincent Price. And they did that "Welcome to My Nightmare" song together, which I thought was pretty awesome.
That was the whole intro to our show.
Was it?
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Because I know that Vincent joined him on stage in shows in the '70s, but not the later '80s shows. Was that the? Did he have the big monsters on stage in the late '80s, or did he pass that stage already?
No, we had monsters, we had snakes, we had the guillotine, we had.
Well, I think the trash record did that. It was either Trash or Poison that Feed My Frankenstein.
Feed My Frankenstein was the album after Trash.
Poison. The album was Poison, called Poison.
Yeah, Poison was on Trash, and Al Pitrelli wrote Feed My Frankenstein.
Just a strange question. Did you ever do a Huey Lewis in the News video?
I absolutely did.
Which one?
Give me the keys and
I'll drive you crazy. I had a feeling because Huey told me all about that video. He actually shot the Small World, not Perfect World video earlier in the day in a garbage dump, and then they shot that one where he's in the car. I don't think did that video ever see the light of day, or did it not get out?
Oh yes, that was very popular.
I mean, it was Huey sitting in a car with the band guys behind him, and every beautiful woman you could imagine sitting on his lap. He was a very happy man that day, as I recall.
It was all playmates, and and he knew every one of our names.
Shocking.
Yes, and if you want to go back and watch the video, I'm wearing red gloves, so watch for all those scenes because my stuff is rather funny.
Are you the one who's in front of him, like throwing your arms up in the air?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's me. Big hair, big boob.
Yes, in the red. Wow.
Yeah. And he kissed me in that video. He threw his tongue right down my throat.
I'm not surprised.
And I was
I'm
like,
not surprised.
excuse me. No. I'm like lying on his lap, and he just goes in for it. He was like, I'm so sorry. I just couldn't help myself.
The band, I'm dear friends with everybody in that band. In fact, Huey's my daughter's godfather. And it was
fantastic.
He absolutely adored shooting that particular video. That's why I had to ask you about it. It was just wanted to see if it was something that you wanted to admit to.
Oh, of course. Oh my God, I'm such a Huey Lewis fan. What a voice. What a voice. And what a genuine human being he is. He's just so sweet.
Oh, he's for somebody who's accomplished the things he has in life. He's quite a nice guy. But sadly, he's lost his hearing, and he's not in the greatest of places lately. So
yeah,
I wish him nothing but the best. But that was a cool video.
Is it more than just like has he literally lost all of his hearing, or I thought just musically he couldn't?
No, sadly, it started out with something called Meniere's disease, and every time that he would perform live, the bass would sound like static in his head, so that he couldn't find pitch. But sadly, it's been getting progressively worse, where he virtually can't hear anything anymore. Sadly, so he had his last record called Weather come out about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's only 8 tracks because they were planning on doing a full LP. But as far as ever getting new music or seeing him perform live again is very, very unlikely, sadly. But that I saw the video a gazillion times, and it came out when I was probably like 18 years old. So you can imagine why I was a big fan. But Scott, did you ever see that video?
I'm sure I have. But
I will tell everybody watching this show tonight, go on. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but if it's not, seek out the Huey Lewis in the News, Give Me the Keys and I'll Drive You Crazy video from the album Small World. Max is in it, and it's quite a fun video. With that being said, Max, where can people find you on social media and such?
On Instagram, it's maxwasaofficial. Or whatever Instagram is, and Twitter is Wasamatter, WASAMATTER. On TikTok, I think it's under Liquid Music Group, and then you can go to my website, which is maxwasaofficial.com.
Awesome. Well, first off, it was an absolute honor and privilege to meet you tonight. Wow. Thank you so much for doing our show. I'm a big fan of yours, and you're just really wonderful, sweet, talented.
Oh, this has to be just the beginning, though. She has so many more stories to tell. We gotta have her back on.
I'm embarrassed that I didn't realize just how many multi-levels I knew about a lot of the acting and some of the music, but I had no idea all your levels. And the Grammys, and wow, that's just fantastic. And the LA Award, what was the LA Award? LA Female Producer or?
Yeah, LA Music Award, Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's just bonkers great, man. Wow.
Well, you makes her wonder what the hell she's hanging out with losers like us for.
Yeah.
Right?
She's another one who lost the
bet. There's a lot of people who lost a bet on this show, apparently, Scott.
I'm a glutton for punishment.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, Max Wasa. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Oh, she is amazing. And Max, I can see you in the green room. Stick around for a few moments if you would, please. Guys.
Yes, she was absolutely a wonderful guest, a great show. And I was thrilled to meet her. I was actually a big fan, and I was a big fan of the Give Me the Keys video. So,
it's so much more stuff we can talk about throughout her career. I would love to have her on the network again. Max, I am going to be reaching out to you.
Yes, do JW's show, because he's much smarter than I am, and is a better interviewer than I am, and I'm just old and pathetic.
That's why you said thanks, Max. What an amazing show.
Yeah, there you go.
But Jim Crut as well came back and said, great to hear the stories. Keep up the sterling work.
Jim Crut's awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah, he is. He's an amazing soul.
With that being said, again, I want to thank Max Wasa for joining us tonight. She was absolutely fantastic. Please keep an eye out for Scott and I's new film, Full Moon Fever. October 26th is the world premiere at the Pocono Cinema. If you want to come out, if you're able to make it out there, come out to the screening and hang out with the stars and see the movie. We will have a big Halloween show on October 29th, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to have a ton of folks out for that show. It's going to be the stuff of legend. We'll celebrate Halloween. We'll celebrate the release of Full Moon Fever. And we'll celebrate each other. Just enjoying the Halloween season. Joe, is there anything network news that we have to get out there?
Network, we're kind of laying low right now because of a few things going on, but I have a feeling things are going to pick back up a whole lot more towards the end of October and early November. JW and Rich are still doing the Hammer horror films for the month of October. They have tomorrow off, but the remaining weekends, or the remaining Mondays, are going to be reviewing Hammer films, which is kind of fun.
Absolutely. That should be a blast. They're extraordinarily knowledgeable guys, and they do a great show. With that being said, again, thank Max Wasa for being here tonight. Joe, thank you for being just a wonderful co-host, a great producer, and the grand poobah behind all these network shows. Uncle Scott, thank you for being a dear friend, a great guy, and thank you again for helping me with Full Moon Fever. The music is coming out fantastic. The movie is really something that I'm extraordinarily proud of. And with that being said, we'll see you guys soon. And remember the most important thing. No man is a failure who has friends. Good night, everybody.
And Besides that, make sure to go to David Lee at Madison's The End of the Night Facebook page. Hit the like and subscribe button. Also go to the Indie Escape Network on all their socials. Hit the like and subscribe button. Sorry, buddy, I had to get that in there.
No worries. Good night, everybody.